Hello everyone. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started with today's lesson. Go ahead and turn to that table of contents. So we are on page 43 today. Mini lesson number 16. Today we're going to be talking about explicit versus implicit. Our standard is 6.6G. Okay, turning to page 43. Mini lesson number 16. Explicit versus implicit. Okay, so our standard is a new standard today, 6.6G. Okay, it is discuss and write about explicit and implicit meanings of text. Okay, so we're going to make a T-chart because we're going to define what explicit means and what implicit means, okay? So the first one you're going to put is explicit. Then we have implicit. And then we're going to draw a line down the middle. It doesn't have to be a big T-chart, just a little T-chart. So something that is explicit, okay, is something that is stated directly in the text. So this would be this would be a sentence that, like, if it said the girl is wearing pink, well, that's explicit because we now know that the girl's wearing pink because it was stated directly in the text. Okay. Implicit is when something is implied / inferred. When things are implicit, we can imply and infer them based off of things that are explicit and things we already know. Okay, remember the inferencing. Okay, it's our knowledge plus the text, okay, to make an inference. So we kind of already talked about this, but they're just two different words to put with it, right? Explicit is what's stated directly in the text. It tells us what it is. Implicit is when we have to use a little more thinking, okay? We have to use more brain power with our implicit items, okay? So I want you to copy down this example, okay? This is this is from the house on Mango Street. And it's from the chapter Boys and Girls. Okay. The first line says, "Someday I will have a best friend all my own." One I can tell my secrets to. One who will understand my jokes. Without me having to explain. Last sentence. Until then, I am a red balloon. A balloon tied to an anchor. Okay, so the first thing I want us to look at is what does the text say altogether, right? What is actually in the text that I can point to in the text, right? Someday she will have a best friend, okay? So in the future, she will have a best friend that she calls her best friend. One I can tell my secrets to. So she wants a best friend she can tell her secrets to that will understand her jokes without her having to explain them, okay? Now, this is just us pointing to the text, right? These are all the things we already know. Okay, now let's talk about the implicit. What are things that we can infer? Okay, things that are implied. Okay, based off of this, what can we infer? Well, she says someday I will have a best friend on my own. Okay, so we can infer, we can imply she doesn't have a best friend right now. I'm going to put BFF. She doesn't have a BFF, right? Based off of what she said, she doesn't have a BFF. Okay? And she wants that BFF. Okay? One I can tell my secrets to. One who can understand my jokes without having to explain them. Okay? So we can add to that. She doesn't have a BFF to tell her secrets to. Her secrets and jokes to. And if you're telling secrets and jokes to someone, that means that you trust them. Okay, that's another thing that we can imply there. Okay, implicit information right there. Now I want us to look at this last sentence. Until then, I am a red balloon, a balloon tied to an anchor. Okay, well, the explicit of that would be, right? Visually, this is what I would see if this is what she's saying. Oh, I don't have a red. Oh well. Okay. Right here. Until then, I am a red balloon. Okay, so we have an anchor. I am clearly not good at drawing anchors, so, you know, there's that. This is our anchor. Okay. And then she said she's a balloon. Okay. Does she mean she's literally the person telling this story? Is the person telling this story a balloon on an anchor? No, that would be explicit. Okay, so you see how sometimes we have to go more the implicit route, okay? Because if not, it then sounds like an actual balloon is telling us a story about how they want a best friend. And that makes no sense. So we're going to go implicit. What is implied? What can we infer? Until then, I'm a red balloon, a balloon tied to an anchor. Well, what do we know about anchors? Okay. They keep boats in place. Well, another thing we know about anchors is that they sink to the bottom. What do we know about balloons? They fly away. Okay, so what inference can we make now based on this line? Until then, I'm a red balloon, a balloon tied to an anchor. What she's trying to say right here is that she is at a low point. Okay, she has nowhere to go. Okay, the anchor sinks to the bottom, right? And she's the balloon. She's sinking with it, right? So this whole thing is kind of what we call a metaphor, okay? It's a metaphor for her not being happy and for her feeling like she has nowhere else to go or nothing else to do because she doesn't have a best friend even though she's tried. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to, that's our notes for today. You're going to read an excerpt from Tim Tebow's memoir called Unshaken, and you're going to read that, and then there's a few questions. We're going to continue on with theme, but I also have a few questions in there, kind of like the ones I asked you today, to try to get you thinking implicitly. All right? Bye, y'all.